What? I can't speak now. I'm doing a plumbing accident. Like, send me the script and I'll call you back.
Soundtrack is amazing. 90s kid, but also, the film itself is beautiful. This was actually based on a novel. So what made it the perfect film for you to be like, yes, this is what I want to be a part of?
Good evening. First of all, thanks a lot for coming. I know that rain is a big thing in LA, not something that we're kind of used to it on a daily basis. But so the novel, I started a company with a friend of mine, and she's a writer, and she's from that city where the action is taking place. And before the book became very popular, she already had a copy, and she said, like, you should read it. So once I read it, it really felt like it was very fresh thing in our market. It was, the book spoke about the period in a sense that we were making laugh from ourselves, from our history, and that was something new. And also, unfortunately, you can't hear that, but it also used this special dialect. So it's not like in a common language or a common Lithuanian, which made it also very funny because that dialect is very entertaining. And the growing up story of this kid was something that you can really connect with. So these were the things that we decided we should go and pursue the adaptation.
What about for you? What was the yes for you?
Yes, for me was meeting author of a novel and also scriptwriter, the colleague of Lucas Agle, who wrote the script. And because I don't know, for me 90s is not the most colorful period in my life, and when I got the offer from Lucas to make a comedy about 90s, so my first reaction was no, comedy about 90s, impossible. But then I met Rimantas, who wrote the novel, Agle, and I hooked on that because I thought that this is something new. That, yes, as Lucas said, to laugh at 90s, at ourselves. Yes.
But aren't you glad you've said yes? Because the film is now the country's highest grossing film of all time. It has racked up a slew of Silver Crane Awards and is now the official Oscar entry for Lithuania. So, how does that feel for both of you?
Crazy.
I can tell a story how that feels in a sense. When we received box office admission results of the first weekend, I had to call our distributor and ask them, is there a mistake or like, is that for real? And then I call Ignas, and Ignas is also like a bit shocked, and we're speaking with him. He's saying like, I also spoke with my mom, and she asked, so how many people saw it on the weekend? And we're like 90,000. And her mom is saying, where did all these people fit in? So that's the feeling, kind of what you experience. Like we're a country of 2.9 million, and the film was seen by 412,000 people. So I don't know, percentage-wise, it's fifth to 1/5 of the population. So yeah.
It made more money than Avatar, let's just put it that way, right? I think that was something I read. But what I really love about this film is the casting. The Rimantas was such a great performance, and I feel like, part of the reason why this is so endearing is because of him and that. Talk about the casting process and finding him.
Yeah, it took some time, and basically all of them, the main casting, they were... by that time, they were in film school, in acting school. Sorry, So and during shooting, Rimantas and Monica, they finished the school. So basically, for all of them, it was the first movie, and it was debut. Now they are big actors in Lithuania.
But what was that like working, with them as first-time actors and making sure that what you wanted to get across was portrayed in their performance?
I don't know. For me, it doesn't matter. Are you a newcomer actor or are you highly professional? I used to rehearse a lot, and sometimes actors really, how to say, I'm not torturing them, but I mean it's a funny process, and it's a pleasure for me, and I hope it's a pleasure for them also.
I don't know. We'll find. We have to bring them up the next time we have a conversation to find out what that experience was like. But the other thing that I love about it is the aesthetic of it. It feels very 90s, but it also feels like just the cinematography of it, but the way you shoot the rugby scenes, the way you shoot the party scenes. Like, talk about how you wanted to capture this visually.
So my vision was to make a movie which looks like it was made in 1994, and I refused to use, and together with the DOP and Lucas, we refused to use any drones, cranes, digital cameras. So we took 16mm camera, which was used to be in 1994 because of a budget. Yeah. And also, we bought some old VHS cameras, and we just pressed the rock and roll button.
Lucas, tell me what was your reaction? It's like, we're going to buy VHS cameras to record the film so that we give it that authenticity and plant it in 94.
I think I found that out after the shoot.
Yeah, but you trusted me.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. No, but speaking about trust, working with Ignas, he's a bit of a people magnet, so it was a very smooth shoot. And when you call somebody from the team and you say like, "Oh, we're doing this film," everybody's like, "So who's the director?" And you're like, "Ignas." "Oh, cool, I'm in." "Oh, but wait, we haven't even spoken about the budget." "I'm fine." So that this kind of a person, so yeah, the trust was there.
And he gave complete freedom for me.
Talk about filming the rugby matches. I'm always curious. Were you a fan coming into that? And
so before the film, I went to rugby training session, and it was disaster for me because it was on winter, on the snow. My first tries was so, but it helped me to know what kind of game is it, and it helped me to communicate during shooting with players because no actors were in the field, only professionals or ex-professional, because part of the team they are from that team from 1994. And they acted also. Not acted, they played in that movie. In that game. I don't know how. Okay, movie.
Wow, there you go. But what was it like shooting those sequences? Like after you go through the training experience, like what did that teach you about shooting?
So we rehearse a lot, and I made a lot of storyboards but in the end, we just improvised.
I've got to ask you about the soundtrack, because when I was watching the film, like it really took me back to a time of growing up in London and like just certain moments of like what the world was like and what London was like at that time. Mm-hmm. Talk about the soundtrack and what was important to you in putting in all these songs and the meaning behind them.
So maybe I'll start. Well, actually, when you read the book, it had lots of references to the music. It was such an important part of the book that when we were developing and financing the film, it was one of the red lines. We said, if we can't have the music or if we can't afford it, we don't do the film. It doesn't make sense. It will not work. And yeah, so that was one of the red lines that we decided not to cross, and then spend quite a lot of time clearing the rights and making sure we have the budget for that.
Yeah, and the interesting part was working with composer, and we had to switch to beginner's mode, you know, to avoid distance from nowadays to that culture beat or snap or technotronic, because I was a headbanger, I was a metalhead, and I hated those guys and those silly songs. But now now they are not silly anymore, and you know, everything is very true. So that was very interesting process. And by the way, a couple songs are made by composer, and not everybody can how to say, separate them from those hits.
Oh, that's really interesting. Now I should rewatch that and go like, wait, what was a real banger from that time? And
Composer even bought the synthesizer from that time, and all the music was the score music and those let's say fake tracks, not fake, but
Fake Euro hits.
Yeah. So everything was made through this synthesizer from 1994.
Yeah, using the same technology, nothing fresh, nothing new.
that's why it feels like we're totally. It's not like I'm just watching a film in the 90s. It feels like we're in it. Like there's a huge difference between the two. But what was the most challenging aspect in bringing this to the big screen for you?
Budget. Time, I don't know, rehearsals, everything. It's I don't know. Now it feels like it was easy time and funny time, but that period was extreme. That's why it looks funny now.
And the results, basically, you know. So yeah, we were tight. The film was shot in 25 days on location and 3 days in studio. One day we had 8 locations, plus one of those locations was outside the city. So this was the tempo we were working on, and when we finished the film and closed the film, from the moment we financed it to the moment we were closing it, we had a huge inflation during COVID time, blah, blah, blah. So we had a bit of a gap in closing the film. So we had to look for equity financing and so on. So it wasn't that pretty when we were finishing it. So yeah, the budget and financing at that point was a big issue. But that resolved in the end.
And again, you know, the success of the film just speaks to itself. You've said that the film isn't just a coming-of-age story for the characters, but it's also a coming-of-age story for the country. Talk a little bit about that and what you meant by that.
Yeah, so basically when Lithuania got the independence, so wild time came, and you know, people, everything was so new to us, and we were so virgin, you know, and we were chasing those fake things, those knockoffs, believing that we getting some kind of original. So maybe the only original thing from that time was music, because there were no Facebook or YouTube, and the only, you know, real news channel was MTV. So by that time, the MTV was still music television. So and the rest was, you know, crimes, bribes, and knockoffs.
Yeah, it was very, like, it was really like when you live there, it was a dark times. Like I remember my high school. You would go from the school and like getting beaten up or everything. It was just like a daily routine. That's why like it took some time to go back to it and look at it and find it like the more humorous approach, because it tends to be that films from those times and from our area a lot of times is sad and dark and end of the world type of the feel. So yeah, in that sense it was very interesting.
Maybe in one word, it was a contrast, time of contrasts, because independence and wilderness.
That's so fascinating, because then what I love in watching the film is that it ends with like that there's a sense of hope. It doesn't end on a dark note, right? And throughout, like there's that, I guess there's a flow of energy throughout. Like talk about ending it, because you could have gone the dark route, right? But instead you choose, a little bit of comedy and the hope. Talk about that ending.
Yeah. So the end is basically it's a new beginning. I mean, we can just guess what will happen to Rimantas, but I think we feel somehow I hope that you can feel that he got a chance to become a human.
No, I think we do, right? Like at the end, that moment. What I'd love to do in general, though, is talk about Lithuanian cinema. Like, I feel like it's such a great time. How do you feel for that? Especially like the recognition this film is getting. People are talking about it. Word of mouth is, I'm sure after people go from here tonight, they're going to be like, you've got to go watch the Southern Chronicles. Like, talk about that a little bit and the state of cinema in Lithuania.
I think a lot of things changed over the last 5 to max 10 years when a new generation of filmmakers came, which were also like Rimantas searching for their voice, of what stories they want to tell, how they want to tell, and the school of cinema is based very strongly on the cinematography side. So a lot of strong cinematographers went into becoming also strong directors, like Laurynas Bareisha, whose films were awarded a couple of times in Locarno as best director. Then we have the Maria Kaftaradze, who got the Sundance Award for the best director on the film Flow. So there is
Slow was
a Latvian.
Latvian.
I'm a bit jet lagged. I'm really sorry. Yeah, so there is this sort of unique tendency of trying to find their own voice, trying to tell their own stories, and that feels, because from the Baltic countries, not to drag about it, but Lithuanian films have achieved the most from the Baltic states in terms of international recognition. Yeah.
That's what about for you? What about for you? Like, what is it? How do you feel Lithuanian cinema is right now?
So so basically Lucas told everything, but I feel that the last years we getting more and more freedom. I mean, freedom in creativity. We are not trying to copy anyone, and there are more and more original ideas and films.
So, is it true you actually said no to this film the first time, or were you always like on board with wanting to do this? Or
You have to tell it from the start.
I don't know. Maybe you can.
Well, we decided to do with this film a bit the more maybe American approach. So when we got the rights for the book, we said, let's write the script, and then we search for the director. So at the moment when we got the script ready for sort of trying to cast a director, we started thinking who could that be, and Ignas' name came up, and we said, that's like top choice, let's go for it. So I got his phone because I didn't know him personally, just as a director.
And I call him, and I'm a bit like nervous. And it's like, hello, I'm this, we're da da da. And he's like, what? I can't speak now. I'm doing a plumbing accident. Like, you know, send me the script and I'll call you back. So I'm calling him back, and he's like, still quite sort of not angry, but sort of this reserves. Like, yeah, I don't know. Book? No, I haven't read it. I don't know, 90s, no, maybe, but like, okay, wait, but is the writer, is she flexible? Can she like still work on it, on the script? Yeah, sure, she's very flexible. Okay, good, I'll give it a try. And then eventually, little by little, he became softer, warmer, and he sort of picked up the virus of this book and the film, and eventually said yes.
There you go. See that? I'm glad you did. I mean, that's a fun story. I love hearing fun stories during these Q&As. But what did you learn about making this film?
You know, I learned that I'm better in directing than writing, because now I am completely know that I'm a bad writer, and better someone. I mean, I'm so happy that I worked with Agle and Lucas and Agle. Basically, I don't know. We went through maybe 6 drafts. Yeah, yeah. So, and another thing, what I learned. So, it's not necessary to paint black on black. And I can speak about that period in other colors. So
Yes, and we forgot one very important fact. It wasn't you who decided to make the film. It was your wife who said, do it.
Yes, she said, maybe it's the last time when someone is calling you. Take that job.
Well, we're grateful that you did. But really, like, just as the last question, as I said, I watched that, and there is that sense of hope. What is it that you want the audience to take away from the film tonight?
That it doesn't matter who you are. So if you can catch even a glimpse of light in somewhere, so you can become a better person.
Beautiful words. Well, on that note, I want to say congratulations on the film and the success of it all. And thank you all for coming out on this rainy evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Spread the word to please go watch the Southern Chronicles. And thank you again all for coming out this Monday evening. And thanks
Thank you
so
so
much.
much.